Let me hit you with some truth. You don't need another book, another plan, or another year of wishing things were different. What you need is a pattern interrupt, a bold, short, no excuse reset that grabs your brain by the collar and says, we're done living this way. That's what the 3-day challenge is all about. No, it won't solve everything. But it will do something most people never manage to do. It will snap you out of autopilot and prove to you that change is not only possible, it's already happening the second you decide to do something different. 3 days, that's it. 3 days of doing things on purpose, with intent, like your future depends on it, because it does. This isn't a detox. This isn't a hack. This is how you break mental habits that have kept you stuck for years. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're just used to patterns that no longer serve you. This challenge is about taking back the wheel. You are not your habits. You are what you repeat. That might sting a little, but let it. Because too many people use labels like, I'm just not disciplined. Or, that's just how I am. As if their identity is carved in stone. It's not. You're not a fixed personality. You're a pattern. You're a collection of thoughts, behaviors, and choices you've repeated so often that they became automatic. But here's the good news. Anything that was learned can be unlearned, and anything that became automatic can be rewired. Most people don't realize that their brain is on a loop. They wake up, reach for their phone, scroll, react, complain, delay, and then repeat the same cycle the next day. It's not that they don't want change. It's that they're running the same script with the same cues and expecting a different outcome. And that's where this challenge comes in. You introduce new cues, new responses, and new thoughts that show your brain, hey, we don't do that old thing anymore. When you start acting differently, even in small ways, your brain lights up. Literally. It begins creating new neural pathways. It starts wiring in a different direction. At first, it's uncomfortable because the old pattern feels easier. But what's easier isn't always what's better. What's automatic isn't always what's right. If you've been running the same emotional and behavioral routines for years, it's no wonder you feel stuck. You're not broken, you're on autopilot. So here's the truth. If you want to change your life, stop trying to overhaul everything at once. Just change what you repeat. One reaction, one decision, one response at a time. You want confidence? Start repeating bold actions. You want focus? Start repeating boundaries. You want peace? Start repeating the habit of not responding to every trigger. It's not a total transformation in a weekend, but it is the spark. The 3-day challenge works because it stops the mindless repetition and replaces it with intentional repetition. And that's where the rewiring begins. Not with inspiration, but with interruption. You stop living the same day 1,000 times and start building something new on purpose. You are not stuck. You're just running an old program. And once you become conscious of that, you get to rewrite it. Change doesn't take months, it takes a moment of decision, that's it. One moment where you stop waiting, stop negotiating, stop overthinking, and you decide. People waste so much time obsessing over how long it'll take to transform their life, when the truth is, it starts the second you stop hesitating and commit to action. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need every step figured out. You just need to make one clean, clear, non-negotiable decision to show up differently today. Think about how much energy you burn every day not deciding. The mental tug of war. Should I do it? Maybe tomorrow. What if I fail? What if it's hard? That internal battle is exhausting. And the worst part, you're burning more energy standing still than you would if you just took the step. The challenge works because it forces a decision. Not someday, not after the weekend, not when life calms down. Now. This is where momentum is born. It's not the result of weeks of prepping or researching. Momentum begins the moment you decide, I'm done living on autopilot. That's when the game changes. You show your brain a new path. You give your body a new assignment. You shift from thinking about change to becoming someone who changes. Disrupts the entire cycle of delay and avoidance. When you keep that promise to yourself, even once, you start rebuilding trust in you. And that's where real confidence comes from. Not external wins, internal proof. The proof that you can make a decision and follow through. You don't need another month of planning. You don't need to feel ready. You need to decide boldly, clearly, and then act like your future depends on it, because it does. The 3-day challenge, it's not about complexity, it's about clarity. The kind that comes from stepping across the mental line and saying, enough, I go now. That's how change really begins. In a moment, in a choice, in a decision to take your power back right now. Your brain will fight it, and that's the point. The resistance you feel the moment you try to change something, that's not a sign to stop. That's the sign you're on the right track. This is where most people quit, right when it starts to get uncomfortable, because they think discomfort means failure. But discomfort is actually feedback. It means your brain is noticing the shift. It's being forced to work differently. And like any muscle, it gets sore before it gets stronger. When you do something new, wake up earlier. Silence the negative self-talk. Stop reaching for distractions. Your brain sends up red flags. Oh, what are we doing? This isn't what we usually do. That's not danger. That's just your internal autopilot panicking because you took back the controls. And that is a good thing. And every time you ignore it and follow through anyway, you weaken that old voice and strengthen the new one. You build the mental muscle that says, I keep promises to myself. I act even when it's hard. That's how rewiring works. Not by waiting for the inner critic to disappear, but by proving to yourself over and over that you don't answer to it anymore. You train your brain through action. You teach it new patterns. And yeah, it's awkward at first. It feels forced. It feels like you're faking it. But that's what learning looks like. It's messy before it's automatic. You don't need to feel confident. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing to do the thing anyway. That's where power lives. In the doing, not in the waiting to feel ready. So when your brain starts to push back during this challenge, smile. Because that's proof you're no longer living by default. You're rewriting the code. You're taking the lead. And that resistance, it's not a wall, it's a doorway. Push through it. You need proof, not promises. Let's be real. Your brain is tired of motivational talk and big ideas that never get followed through. It doesn't believe in your goals anymore because you've made too many empty promises to yourself. And that's not a character flaw, it's just psychology. Your brain needs evidence. It needs proof that when you say you're going to do something, you actually mean it. That's what the 3-day challenge gives you. It's not about changing your entire life in 72 hours. It's about building credibility with yourself again. Every time you finish a day and say, I showed up, I didn't quit, you're casting a vote for the version of you that follows through. That's the beginning of a mindset shift. Not from reading about change, but from proving change is happening. You don't need to believe you can climb the whole mountain. You just need to believe you can take the next step. And once you take it and the sky doesn't fall and you realize, oh, I can do this, your entire belief system starts to evolve. That's how rewiring really works. Not in theory, but in practice. When you see yourself show up 3 days in a row, on purpose, no excuses, no hiding, it hits differently. You're no longer talking about the person you want to become. You're being that person. You're no longer begging for motivation, you're building it. Brick by brick, one small win at a time. This is why the challenge works. It interrupts the story that says, I never follow through, and replaces it with real-world evidence that you do. And when your brain starts to believe that, everything changes. Your confidence shifts. Your energy shifts. You stop hoping for results and start expecting them because you have proof. Not hype, not theory, not empty words. And once you start stacking proof, you become unstoppable. Momentum is the secret weapon. It's the force that turns a small spark into a wildfire. It's the invisible engine that propels you forward even when you feel like quitting. And the crazy part is, momentum doesn't need to be earned over months. It starts with a single decision to move, to act, to start. Here's the thing. Momentum doesn't wait for motivation to show up. It creates motivation. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect mindset, or the perfect environment. You just need to take one step, and then another, and then another. Because the moment you make progress, even if it's small, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. It recognizes that action is rewarding. And the more you act, the more your brain gets used to the idea that doing creates rewards. Not just in the future, but right now. This is the power of the 3-day challenge. It's designed to create momentum fast. When you make it through 3 days of intentional action, you can't help but feel the shift. It's not just about the 3 days. It's about what happens next. You don't go back to the old way of thinking. You don't slip back into the pattern of procrastination or hesitation. You've crossed a threshold. You've proven to yourself that you can take control. And once that seed is planted, it grows. Momentum doesn't need to be huge to be powerful. You don't need to go from zero to hero overnight. You just need to build the small wins. And when you get those small wins, the next step gets easier. And then the next. And soon, those 3 days turn into 30. Then 90. Then a year. And suddenly you look up and realize you've made more progress in 1 month than you thought possible, all because you started with just 3 days. That's the magic of momentum. It's not a flash of inspiration. It's not a grand revelation. It's consistent action over time. The challenge doesn't promise instant transformation. It promises the beginning of momentum. Once you feel it, you won't want to stop. And that's when the real growth starts. So here's the truth. This 3-day challenge is just the beginning. It's not about achieving perfection or making grand changes overnight. It's about taking control, making a decision, and proving to yourself that you can show up and follow through. It's about disrupting the patterns that have kept you stuck and creating a new, powerful momentum that carries you forward. The next 3 days will be uncomfortable. Your brain will fight it. You'll question yourself. But if you can push through, if you can keep showing up, even when it feels hard, you'll unlock something that will change everything. You'll build confidence in your ability to commit. You'll prove to yourself that you can start and finish anything you set your mind to. So, don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for motivation to strike. Start now. Own this challenge. Rewire your mind. Shift your habits. And start living like the person you know you're capable of becoming. Now go. Take that first step and let the momentum take care of the rest. You've got this.